Welcome to Talking with Todd, where I have intimate conversations with entrepreneurs, authors, business owners, and everyday people who are making a difference in their community. This podcast will reveal how everyday people get shaped by their purpose. Today on the show, we are excited, super excited for our special guest, Annesia Powell. Annesia is also my cousin, guys. So I am super, super excited to showcase this young lady. Annesia is a mother and an entrepreneur. Merge that together. Annesia is a mother and entrepreneur, the owner of Annesia's House of Aesthetics, based in Mobile, Alabama. She is a licensed esthetician who specializes in facials, waxing, makeup, and lashes. She have a bachelor's degree in marketing from the illustrious Alabama A&M University and currently seeking her master's in business administration. Today, she will be sharing her story as to her journey on how she came in.
My friend, she didn't have any movement. At that point, to be honest, when I looked at my friend, I actually just thought she was dead. Yeah, that's as plain as you could get. When I looked at my friend laying in the doorway, you could just, and to this day, I still can imagine everything. And she was laying there, like I said, me and the other girls, we just figured she was just dead. So at that point, we kind of got hysterical, we got to calm down, but we got to figure out what to do because we have a friend right here who's just literally just laying here, just bleeding.
So you were thinking about other people in terms of, okay. Yeah. Wow. So take me back. I remember you were stating, on our other conversation that you were in a car with 5 people that all went to Florida, and in that car, 4 people got shot. So just kind of go back through that for me so that they'll understand,
Yeah. Okay, so headed to the party, I was with another set of friends. So my friends from college called me, hey girl, you want to go to the party? So it was 5 girls in the car. Everyone got shot in the car except for one person. Everybody got shot if they were sitting in between my left side and my friend's right side. So when my friend got shot in the right temporal lobe, it literally went down the line all the way to my arm, chest, and leg. So my other friend who didn't get shot, just by the grace of God, she happened to be sitting on my right-hand side. But if she was sitting on the left-hand side, she would have sustained injuries as well. And at that time, a lot of times people ask, I think the number one question is, well, what does it feel like to be shot? Because of the grace of God, again, I can't explain that to you because God covered me that night to where I didn't feel nothing.
Wow.
God literally shed his blood that night. I didn't feel not one thing. And like I said, I knew I couldn't get up and run. I knew I couldn't walk, but I didn't feel nothing. I didn't feel nothing at all.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So you couldn't feel anything, but what were you thinking? Like, what were your thoughts when you realized that outside of, trying to help your friend, what was you thinking just when they told you about your other shot that you had? So like, what are you thinking about yourself?
Yes. So when the paramedics arrived, like I said, I knew I had a leg shot and I knew I had a arm shot. But then that's when the paramedics, he flashed his flashlight in my chest because I was bleeding out through a bathing suit. He said, well, you have a chest wound. So my initial thought at that time was, I had 2 thoughts. One, a lot of people that I know who ever sustained chest injuries have died. Not a lot of people make it through a chest shot, and especially with a 40 caliber gun at close range. So that's like a pretty big gun. So my first thought was, I don't feel like I'm finna die, but you really, I don't know what that feels like. So I had to just kind of teach myself to remain calm, even though it was literally a hectic environment. You had kids from spring break, drunk people being shot. It was a really pretty hectic scene. And I'm usually a dramatic person. I'm one of my mom's dramatic kids. Like whenever it's time for me to get immunizations, I act like I'm 3 years old all over again. And I'm 28 years old. So my initial thought was, I can't be the drama queen right now. I can't be with the theatrics and the dramatics, because that could send me into a frenzy. I could lose blood, I could lose oxygen, and then it could go downhill from there. The second thought was, how am I going to explain this to my mom? Growing up, I was kind of my mom's trouble child. Like I was the one getting in trouble. I was the one who had the problems. And so when that happened, my initial thought was, how am I going to explain this to my mama? Because when I tell her, she's going to think I got us into this. She's going to think I caused the trouble. I'm the reason we got shot. I was such a hot head. I was just so flip at the mouth. I was like, no, we can't tell my mom. The whole plan was for me to go through that and not call my mom that one time. I don't know.
But how?
I don't know. Because I was already like 8. I was already 18, so I feel like they didn't need my mom. So when that happened, I just was like, okay, I give my consent to everything. And I didn't think it was as bad as it was. Like, I didn't think I was gonna need surgery. I didn't think I was gonna be there 5 extra days. I thought I just was living like, okay, I'm still living. They're gonna take the bullets out, catch me up, and then I can continue on with the trip.
So, with the trip, girl, that trip would have been over for me.
Yeah, so, but I tell you, baby, I was young, and baby, I was just like, well, I was ready to go home, but I was like, I'm not gonna tell my mom what happened on this trip.
So you were just gonna go back home once they release you from the hospital with wounds and just be like, okay, I'm back.
I fell kind of hard down there.
No.
I was just so afraid of her reaction, because like I said, I was off at college. I just always been her little troublemaker. So God has delivered me from all that just negative space. And because of that, it happened from March. If March didn't happen, I don't feel like I would be a transformed person who I am today. So, but at that time I was scared. I just was just like, I can't tell my mom. So
what was your mom's reaction though? Because this ain't even my question, but I just want to know. So when you told your mom, then what was her reaction?
Okay, so when we got to the paramedics, and I acted a fool in the paramedics. I wouldn't let them put no IV in me, because they were driving like 90 miles per hour. They were driving so fast. So I just felt like, I don't think this is a good combination. This man flying across these streets, you trying to stick me with a needle. I'm already afraid of needles. Like I can't.
But you got gunshots. Why would you not want IV?
I told him, I said, I'm not in pain. I don't feel like I'm out of breath. I think we could wait till we get to the hospital, because I just don't see me letting you stick me right now. And this man is flying. Like we're in a jet. And so when I got to the hospital and they started, giving me the wristbands, giving me IVs, one of the nurses said, well, have you contacted your parents? I said, no, ma'am, I don't think I'm going to call her. She said, oh, yes, you are. I said, no, ma'am, no, I'm not. She said, yes, you are. You're going to call her. And the reason you're going to call her, because if I call your mother and tell her daughter's been shot 3 times, your mother is instantly going to think the worst. If you call her and tell her you've been shot 3 times, she knows you're still living. She knows that you're able to still talk to her. So at that time, I cried. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So I dialed my mama up, I got the phone, and my first reaction was to bawl like a baby, cry like a baby before she could get to me, just cry. I don't know, mama. So she was happy. She was upset about the circumstance, about what had happened, but my mom was gracious that she still had her daughter living.
I'm talking about, yes, absolutely.
Yes, and in my mind, I'm thinking that she was going to be mad and have this outrageous just response, and she was really just gracious that her daughter was still alive, because I could have been instantly been gone just there. That could have been my last stop. And so Mobile and Panama is about 2.5, 3 hours away. My mom literally, I don't know what mode of transportation she took, but she got there, and at least in less than an hour. I know my mama got there so quick, and she was with me the whole time. And that's what I learned and realized, that it was okay to, go through things. Some things you can't control, but you can control the outcome of it.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, wow. That is just, I can still remember, because I was just like, what? I was like, is she okay?
Like New York Times, we went national news.
Oh, I remember that. I looked it up for my mom and everything. It was just such a surreal moment, because I remember, because they was already having other things that was going on anyway down there. It was like, I think that was that year where everything was just so crazy. So I want to say, even before you got there, it was already reports of other stuff happening. So when it did happen, it was just like, oh my God, like it was just too much at that particular time going on during that spring break type of thing. So it was just like, okay, I'm glad she good, but it was just like, I was like, are you serious? It just didn't seem like it was.
It's different too when it kind of hits home. You see stuff on the news and you see other people going through things, but it feels different when it actually hits close to home.
Right. Yeah, because it was like, and to me, I said to myself, I said, now, I actually know somebody who was actually down there, and so, yeah, you're right. It did hit so much different, because it wasn't just because usually when you hear something like this, just like you don't know them, and it'd be sad, but you just be like, wow, this happened. But when you actually know the person in your family, the name, you can remember when the child was little, you just like, whoa, what is this world is coming to? It's just like, oh my Lord. Okay. All right. So I heard you kind of talk about you like wouldn't be the person that you are today. So how did that trauma shape you into your purpose?
Yeah. That trauma shaped me in a very transformative way. Like I said, that happened my sophomore year in college. My sophomore year in college, I was getting ready to forget college. I basically was gonna get ready to withdraw myself, either go off to the service, or I was gonna go back home and do hair and makeup. And I guess growing up all my life, people have always told me you have a calling on your life. That's why you're always, just like, that's why the devil always is after you. That's why you're always, just because you have so much favor and a calling over your life. So growing up, I kind of always, and I say this in the most humblest way possible, I always knew that something in me was different, and God always had a purpose for me. I always knew that. So when I got to college, it felt like I was losing my way.
Okay.
When I got to college, just the environment, I hadn't really been off from home. So first time really leaving my mama. I never been away from my brothers. It always just, we close-knit family. So when I got to that new environment, it's like a free kid, a kid you just dropped off at the candy store. It's like you see so much that I wasn't accustomed to going out, as a younger child. Like
that freedom.
Yeah, we were kind of in the church. So, we were strictly like Sunday school, Bible school, after
I
church.
remember that.
Yeah, so we were really deep in the church. And so when I got out of college, I had so much freedom, so I didn't know how to handle it. I had such a, like I always say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So I always just found myself in stuff because I wasn't really seeking my purpose. I just was looked at just doing whatever. I wasn't really going to class. I just was doing pretty much whatever. And so my sophomore year, I was planning on withdrawing, and we had spring break. That's the last event before you come back home before summer. And so I had went and talked to my advisor, and my advisor, he said, well, if you just going back home to do hair and makeup, you can do that here and have so much of a networking and clientele, foundation versus just going home and, that's just what you're accustomed to. So I said, I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm just not feeling it. So I went head on and I went to spring break down in Panama. And so when that happened, that taught me that you have to live your life because you never know when your end is coming.
Yes.
You have to figure out your purpose while you're here, because you never know when that day comes that you're not going to be no longer, that you have to part ways. And so when that happened, it taught me to be grateful for the things that I do have, because it always could be a lot worse. Yes, I sustained the most shots, but I didn't sustain the most deadly shots. Like I said, my friend, she got shot in the right temporal lobe, and I always sit and think, what if that would have been me? She's paralyzed, she was unable to finish her college degree, even though she had it now, it took her longer. And I just think of things like, God gave me a second chance to regroup and get myself together. And everybody is not blessed with that second chance. And so when that event took place, God was teaching me how to make my relationship, even though when that happened, I felt like my relationship with God was being shaken. It was being shaken so that he could rebuild a new foundation.
You better say it. That's right. Sometimes you have to get crushed.
Yeah,
you have to just get
He was getting all that old rubble and debris out so that he could rebuild a new foundation. And Absolutely. So when that happened to me, I had to sit down. Like I always call myself, and I say this in a nice way, I call myself a street runner. I never can sit down. I'm always going. I'm always just running.
On the move, yeah.
I'm on the move. My mama said, you just can't never sit down. So when that happened, I had no choice but to sit down for 3 long months. I couldn't do nothing that I was accustomed to doing. And so as I was sitting down those 3 months, God gave me a lot of time to think. God gave me a lot of time to reevaluate my life. I would catch myself just yearning to figure out how can I fix my relationship with him so that I don't have to go back through something that shaky.
Right.
I get what, like, when that happened, I said, okay, I get what you're saying now, Lord. I know I was hard-headed. I know I'm a stubborn, hard-headed girl. I know that. But when that happened, I get everything that you're saying now. It's to me plain as day.
Right.
And so, because of that testimony, because of that test, and now it's a testimony, so many opportunities and so many people that I met them based off of that testimony. My first internship was with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And as I went to my first interview with them, I let them know that I was the young lady in Panama who had been shot 3 times, and I'm in college and I'm just trying to figure my way. So many people are transformed when they hear that story.
Absolutely.
Because when you see me, you don't say, oh, she's been shot 3 times. You don't see that. You don't see who I was.
Right.
And so, the person I am today, when I go back and talk about their story, they say, well, you're blessed to be sitting here talking to me now. And I say, yep, by the grace of God. And that's how I know that he has a bigger and better purpose for me, just because of that event, just by how so many people's lives I have touched,
right?
Just by sharing that testimony. Like I said,
but your heart was right the whole time, even in your other stuff that you feel like, because we can't never just be so perfect, and because even when we're doing everything right, we live in a world where things are going to happen because we live in this world. But you still had that foundation. You still was right then. It just, you went through some things that then you were just able to realize that, oh, okay, I know that God, and I always say about myself, I am God's favorite girl, because I know that I have done some things where I always say this to people: God will let me get right to the edge, but he'll never let me fall over, so I get what you're saying when you say, he covered me, or I was working on my relationship, or just making sure, I want to make sure that I do things the right way that God want me to do, because, I don't want to ever be out of his will. I don't want to ever do things just my way. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a work in progress, because this little mouth of mine, but but I'm working on it. I'm aware. But God is my everything, and when I look at certain things that I've been through in my life, I know that God has never left me. Like even when I had a stillborn in 2007, and in that situation, God did not leave me. He saw me through, because I remember when I first got the news about what was going on with the pregnancy, these two little old ladies came out of nowhere, because I was outside the hospital just crying. And the two little ladies came, and she was like, "Baby, do you know Jesus?" And I was tears everywhere. And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, whatever it is you're going through," she said, "God knows He gonna take care of it." I swear I think they were some angels, because it just seemed like they just popped out of nowhere, but they was right there what I needed at that time, because then I was able to get to my car. And then when I think about, once I had to, I went to the doctor's office that day. Well, not that particular day, like another visit. And they was like, "We don't hear the baby's heart," and I still had to go home knowing that a baby is dead inside and sleep. So that's why I say God will give you peace in a situation and give you the might to go through things that you never dreamed that you can go through, because just the whole thinking of something's dead inside, that's kind of creepy in a way, where you kind of like, but I was able to go home and lay down, hurt now, but still just lay down in peace of God. So trust me, I know when you know God is right there for you, like, yeah, because I done had that experience, so I get it.
Through it, you're so much stronger at the end. To now, even if you face that again, you more powerful. You now have a little bit more of your armor. You have a little bit more of that God's armor. Sometimes, we go in a situation, you just don't know. But what I've learned is, that song where it says, "For every mountain He has brought me over." That gives me chills every time we say it, because He could bring you over the impossible.
Right.
That mountain that you think is so high that you'll never be able to attain, that you need all the strength, all the endurance that you need to get up that hill.
Right.
Bring you over it every time.
Right. And you know what? Yes. Yeah. I was about something else, but I don't want my story to go. I gotta stay focused here. Okay. So now, you started, doing hair and what else? Makeup. And so tell us a little bit more about, how that incident shaped that. And then I'm going to ask you something else. So, just in your business, how did that help you to get to where you knew exactly what you wanted to do? Well, no, first of all, let me go back. I want you to tell us about how you went back to school after that semester and you did double classes to finish. That's what I want you to talk about.
Okay, so like I said, I had to be on bed rest for 3 months. No movement on my left leg. I had my right leg, but I couldn't put no weight, no nothing on my left leg. And so I was sitting in that bed so much I said, I gotta go back to school. Now, just remind you that semester before, I was so ready to get out of school. Right. But I feel like if I didn't go through that and had to sit down 3 months to think about what it is I want to do, then I need to go back. I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school. I knew that I couldn't go to the service because, my leg had been shot out. So I had bullet fragments in me. So I know the physical part of me being in the service was basically just gone. So that event went ahead and knocked out that path that God didn't want me to take then. He didn't want me to go to the service. He didn't want me to stop going to school. And so I sat there, I said, well, I'm going back. So as August coming up, I'm going into my junior year. I'm off 6 hours away from home. At that time, I had been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety. I still, A&M is on a whole bunch of hills and mountains. If you ever been to the hill, A&M, you know that we literally sit on hills. You might have one class that's at the tippy top of the hill, and you live down in the valley. So I was scared. I was very fearful. I just didn't know how I was gonna do it. I didn't have any of my friends from the semester before because my friends had been shot. So I just knew I had to just be strong. I knew I had to be a strong person to get done what it is I need to do. So as I go back to school, I still had to take 18 credit hours for the semester of the fall 2015. However, due to me being shot, I couldn't no longer finish those courses from the semester before. So I had to take 15 hours on top of the 18 hours. And so
that's determination right there.
So, like I said, my freshman, sophomore year, I literally had to go from being a party animal to not a bookworm. I had to be a bookworm because I wanted to get out of school. I had to make sure that happened. So I doubled up, and that was literally one of the hardest semesters education-wise in my life. I would catch myself, like I said, I did have PTSD and anxiety. I would catch myself in my car. I had got my first car, just bawling, just crying. And I really didn't know why I was crying. But now as I look back, it was just anxiety, just trying to do so much, trying to bring myself out of it. So I was kind of like wearing myself down. And so
and also a trauma. You gotta give yourself that moment. You went through something that was very traumatic for men. Just say like a man and got shot 3 times. I promise you, he gonna be feeling some type of way too. It's just, and you're a female, so just imagine. I mean, the other thing I was gonna ask you is that how did that shape you in terms of like being in crowds or going places? Because I would imagine that, I don't know, I'd have been a little nervous in certain situations because of that trauma right there. Just knowing that you can just be somewhere minding your own business.
Yeah, so even though I did get shot at a house party, I've never been really big on house parties. I always feel like that would have always been the ending product, someone being shot. So after that happened, I just stayed away from big crowds, period. It just scared me, just so many people around you, not knowing what people have on them. You don't know who to see. You don't know if this person is beefing with this person. So crowds, I don't do crowds. I'm not good with crowds. And 2, whenever I go into any kind of establishment, I always find the exit.
Yep.
That night, I only knew the entrance. I didn't know the exit. But if I probably would have knew the exit when I heard that first shot, I probably would have ran that way, speaking that he was closer to the entrance. And so now, just even at Walmart, I just always look for emergency exit. If anything was to happen, emergency exit. Balloons, a balloon pop around me, it's just, you just flinch. And when I was going through it, and I actually had the eval at the psychiatric office, at that time I didn't think I needed it. And because I'm more mature now, at that time I just told myself, oh, you're not that crazy. Like, you're not that
you ain't crazy at all. It ain't about you being crazy. That's a traumatic experience. So, and that's the thing. I'm glad you said it. People be putting psychiatric mental health on that thing with crazy. It ain't even that. It's traumatic. You had an event to happen.
How you think.
Right. Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with crazy. That's where, I mean, that's where bullets have been in your body. So of course you're gonna feel some type of way about that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when I went back to college, my main focus was rehabilitating my mental, as well as making myself so busy so I don't have time to think about what had happened. So I instantly got in more organizations. I instantly became the president, got on executive boards. I was already interning at Enterprise. I got another internship working at the Student Affairs office. So it was a little push for me. When I was ready to give up, God showed me that you can't give up.
Right.
You're stronger than that. I have that favor over you. You can't just throw it away because that happened. It's a part of your process. I'm making you stronger. I'm building you up so that whenever you face something else, hey, you've been shot 3 times, so everything else is just as small as a little, rug on the floor. So I always thank him for what happened that night because of that, the woman I am today is a product of that event. Just being more open, being more positive, loving life, living life to the fullest. Because you could be at any place at any time, and a lot of people don't have that time to go back and correct themselves. So at this point, I want to fulfill that purpose. I want to be wherever God placed me at, because that's why he brought me out of there. He brought me out of that so that I can learn to lead him. He guides me any and everywhere now. And I know that voice in my head that, is speaking to me, giving me life, giving me motivation, giving me strength. Say, it's all God.
That is awesome. So I'm sure these viewers want to know what happened to the guy that shot you and your friends, and also, did you know him?
Okay, so I didn't know him at all, even though we were from the same city. I didn't know of him. He actually, when that happened, he got served with 7 life sentences with an additional 25 years for shooting in an occupied building in the state of Florida. And, a lot of times people ask me, well, how do you feel about him? I know you hate him. I know you just hate him. And I don't. I truly don't. I have forgiven him. I understood a little bit, just because everyone is entitled to making bad decisions. Like I said, before in my life, I have made plenty bad decisions.
Me too.
To say that he should be, penalized to the highest degree of penalty because of the decision he made. And he's a young black male. He was a young black man. He was 18 years old when he did that. And I have 2 younger brothers. I also have 2 sons. And you can raise your kids right. You could give them everything that you need. And sometimes they still make a decision that you're not proud of. And so,
absolutely.
And so I'm just understanding that my brothers or my sons could go out and make. I pray that they don't, but they can and make the same decision that he did. And I just pray that other family or other party just have forgiveness on their heart for, the same people in my condition. I don't want to leave here, mad, resenting anything that happened. I don't have any resentment about that night. Like I said, it was all a part of the will.
I love how when we were talking on the phone, our pre-interview, how you said you pray for him. That just blew me away, because here I suffer, a traumatic event, but the God in you allow you to pray for someone that changed your life, but you still have, some empathy, for another person. And then just how you just said, we all make mistakes. That spoke volumes. That was another reason why I definitely wanted you to come on, because I wanted other people to hear that, because only a person grounded in God can think that way and feel that way, and not let something like that just turn your heart cold and move in a way where you just feel like, well, I don't care what happened to him, because look what he did to me and my friends, and my friend came walking, so I don't care. You don't have that attitude. So I just love that. Definitely just felt like your story was a story worth sharing. And I definitely wanted people to meet Miss Annesia. So I want to thank you so much for agreeing, which this brings us to the end of our episode. So again, I want to thank you for sharing that. I hope that this conversation helps someone on their self-discovery and healing journey. as always, I like to end every episode with a gratitude moment. I am thankful for the word of God. That's my gratitude, because the word of God is the answer to all life questions. When you think about the Bible, it's just like an open book, and it's the answers that we need. I heard one preacher say, I know what it was. It was Bishop Dale Bonner. He said, it's like when you're in school and you have an open book test, and you go there and you search for the answers. That's what the Bible is. It's where there's your answers. And so you exemplify exactly what it was, because when times got hard and when you was sitting there for them 3 months, you do it anyway, because you've always, grew up in church, but it's just that you had those moments where you had to literally go to the word of God to sustain you and everything that you had been through. And I love that. I love the word. So, Miss Annesia, would you love to tell people what you are? What's your gratitude moment?
Yes, my gratitude moment, forever God, and all the lessons and moments that He gives me. Each day is a lesson for me. I'm still learning. I'm not this just perfect, outstanding, perfect. I'm still learning, and I thank Him for the bad and the good, because I know the bad is shaping me for the good times. And also, I just want to just give thanks to just gratitude to my 2 young boys. A lot of times I find myself just down from all life's wires. But because God gave me those 2 little faces, now I have a purpose on to keep going, to keep striving to do better and better and better and better, because now I got 2 people depending on me. And last but not least, I got 3, just my mom. All my life, my mom has her and her 2 boys, and her girl, me, I'm the oldest. And because of my mom, she taught me that being a woman is strong. Yeah. Being a woman is very, very, very strong. Mm-hmm. And with her doing it by herself, it shows me that me with my 2 little boys, I can do the inevitable.
Right.
Nothing will stop me because I have just my 2 boys. I let those be my stepping stones to achieving more in life. God gave me them for a reason. And so I just thank her for teaching me how to be a strong Black woman, teaching me how to take care of my little boys, and just giving me that drive. I have a drive that don't never go in the park. It's always just going. And that's because my mom taught me that no matter your circumstances or your situation, you have to get up and keep going. You can't let nothing down, because you still have 2 little boys who are going to continue to grow. So don't let nothing stop you in your tracks, and everything happens for.
Absolutely. All right, Miss Annesia. So tell everybody how they can follow you on social media and support your business.
Yes, so right now, if you would like to follow me on social media, my Instagram is Annesia's House. That's ANNESIASHOUSE. My Facebook name is Annesia Powell, and it's ANNESIAPOWEL. And if you want to look at my website and look at some of the things that I do, the services that I offer, you can head on over to www.annesiashouse.com.
All right, and I will have the link for her information on this episode. You guys, you can follow me on TikTok and Facebook as Tot Carter, and on Instagram, you can follow me as IvyTot10. If you enjoy our show, please subscribe, rate, and review us on YouTube. Until next time, this is the one and only Tot Carter, a podcast that reveals how everyday people get shaped by their purpose. Talking with Tot is a product of 3 Ways to Say It podcast. Good night, you guys.